Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again tonight with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where we recap the NBA games from the night. The NBA home stretch is upon us. There's around 20-ish games per squad the rest of the way. The All-Star break has come and went, and so playoff races, play-in races, award races, and everything in between are really about to heat up. So there's going to be a ton of content on this channel, so make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos, and let's go ahead and get right into it. Of course, we're going to begin with Sixers versus Grizzlies, which was just an amazing game. It was back and forth with a crazy comeback, huge momentum shifting threes, hustle plays, big defensive stops, and everything in between. It really felt like a potential finals game. Now, I'm not saying these teams will make the finals, although I do think they're both championship contenders, but it had the feel of that. It had the feel of a huge, really important game, which I guess it is because both of these teams are fighting tooth and nail for spots in the standings with everything being so close. But even still, it felt like the stakes were really high and the players were playing like that, especially in the last minute where it felt like it was complete chaos. But in the end, the Sixers do come out on top. Joel Embiid didn't have his best game offensively. He shot just 7 of 25, but the stat line does still look good. He had 27 points, 19 rebounds, 6 assists, and 6 blocks, which is really where he showed out tonight on the defensive side of the ball. Because really at the end of the game, he was locked in. Anytime somebody came anywhere near the rim, he was blocking a shot. He was deterring shots. He was just altering a shot in any way that he could. He had one crazy highlight block on Ja Morant where it felt like the two of them were 30 feet in the sky. It was wild. And overall, when Joel is locked in, he's one of the best rim protectors and interior defenders in the league. So if they can consistently get play like this from him on the defensive side, it makes them even scarier than they already are. But I think the real hero of this game was James Harden, who was absolutely amazing tonight. And this might be one of his best games of the season when you take into account how he played, as well as the fact that they were playing one of the best teams in the league in the Memphis Grizzlies, a high-level defense. They had to make a 17-point comeback in this one to win. And his help, like I said, Joel Embiid shot 7 of 25. Tyrese Maxey had 16 points, but it was on 33% shooting. So they needed some sort of stabilizing, consistent offensive force, which is exactly what James Harden brought to the table. Statistically, he had 31 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 dimes. On 10 of 16 shooting, he was 6 of 9 from 3, including a huge triple where he did like this baby step back into the corner where it seemed like he was completely stuck. I thought he was just gonna have to throw up some kind of a prayer, which I guess this shot technically counts as, but it was so clean that it felt like it was almost planned in a way. It was amazing. It felt like vintage James Harden that I was watching out there. He was shifty. He was getting by guys, getting to the rim, of course, getting to the foul line as well, but he was hitting step back threes. Basically, whatever shot he was taking, it was going in. It felt like I was watching a vintage Beard performance, which is massive for the Sixers if they can get this consistently. And they needed this desperately in this one because, like I said, things were ugly for the Sixers early on. They went down by 17 points in that first half, and in the first quarter in particular, the effort was just not there. They were leaving guys open. In particular, Desmond Bane was basically just shooting layup line threes. He had 4 threes in the first for 19 points in total. He was destroying them. It looked like there was no effort. Reggie Miller actually told a story on the broadcast saying that I believe at their most recent practice, Doc Rivers noted the lack of effort and said it had to be better. He did the same thing in a timeout during this game itself. They needed something to change. And in the second half, it really felt like the whole team figured things out. I don't know whether they talked about it at halftime or it was just kind of a switch that they all flipped. But in the second half, they were much better and it was spearheaded by James Harden, which leads me to the point that I want to make in this section of this video. I think that James Harden is the X factor for the Sixers. Embiid is great, Harris is solid, Maxey is really fun as a young player. They've got a great supporting cast too, but I think that this squad is going to live and die by the Beard in the playoffs. If he has a great playoff run, like I said, I can legitimately see this team making a run for the championship. But if he doesn't play great, they're going to bow in the second round most likely. It's not going to be a very fun run for them. I think if they get this type of James Harden, the one that is aggressive, because we saw some issues in last year's playoffs where he wasn't aggressive at times. He scored just 19 points per game roughly on 40% shooting over the course of that playoff run. And obviously him and Embiid became a duo later in the season, so it's understandable they didn't gel the best, but they've had a full offseason and season together now to learn, to grow, to work alongside each other and figure out when should I be aggressive, when should you be aggressive. And I think tonight is a great example of how James Harden has learned. Embiid wasn't having his best scoring night. Sure, he still ends up taking the most shots, but Harden ends up taking over when it matters. Like I said, scored 13 points in the fourth quarter, missed barely any shots. He shot perfect from 3, and late in the game, he said, okay, I'm going to call my own number and make things happen, which is exactly what a secondary star should be able to be. If he can do that in the playoffs, the Sixers become so much more dangerous than they would be otherwise. Sure, if he's healthy, Embiid can do some amazing things and carry you most nights in the playoffs, playoffs. He can hit a 360 game-winning three like he did against the Raptors, give you 30 and 10, 5 blocks, 6 blocks, a few dimes here and there. He can be amazing, but no superstar, or very few, ever shoot 100% in the playoffs. They're going to have off nights. In the case of Embiid, with the last few playoff runs, we've seen him deal with some injuries, so if he does and his play ticks back a notch, you need someone else to step up in any of these scenarios. That is exactly where James Harden comes in. This is Harden's real chance to dispel all the playoff choker narratives and show that he can be a high-level winning player on the biggest stage, which to me isn't much of a question. I've seen what he's done in years past, and I think that narrative is a bit overblown, but there are a lot of people out there who don't believe in this team, in particular because of James Harden. They see him and say, I'm not worried about a Harden team in the playoffs. I don't think he's that good. He's going to choke, whatever, this and that. This is his chance to break that narrative, and I think he's got a real good shot. I'm a believer in him. I think he's going to go ahead and do it. Him, Embiid, this great supporting cast. I still worry about Doc Rivers a little bit, if I'm being honest, but I think overall, just with the team, they're set up well to go ahead and be successful, and I think Harden is set up to have one of the best postseasons of his recent career and really dispel a bunch of the narratives that people have about him. He's even got some extra motivation with the All-Star snub. I think he's going to head into the playoffs, be aggressive, knock down step-back threes, attack the basket, of course, draw some fouls along the way, play make for others, and have an amazing postseason run as him and the Sixers have a real chance to win the finals. I also want to give a quick shout to Tobias Harris, who played some great defense on Ja Morant late in this game, and he got the assignment really a lot over the course of the matchup. He did a great job. He also hit that massive three that gave them a 1-point lead before that James Harden dive ball scenario, so shout to him. I thought this was a good one from Toby. Ja Morant really struggled offensively. I think him and the Grizzlies miss Steven Adams more than people realize. His screen setting, his physicality, and everything in between is really vital to what Memphis does, so hopefully the Kiwis able to come back soon. Moving on to the other games, let's go over Thunder versus Jazz, which was also an amazing game. It was a duel in particular between the two leaders for most improved player, Lauri Markkanen and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai had 39 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 dimes, while Lauri had 43 points, 10 boards, and 3 assists. It was incredible to watch, and it really showcases this next generation of stars. These guys are going to be amongst them, and just how good both of them have gotten. Now, the Jazz do end up coming out on top mainly due to Lowry, who got fouled on Lou Dort on a 3-point attempt as he tried to win the game in overtime. He hit all 3 free throws, and the Thunder were unable to match on the other end as Shai shot a game winner that barely rimmed out. It hit like every part of the rim, but it ended up just barely popping out. I also do want to give some credit to Walker Kessler, who's amazing. He had 7 points, 18 boards, and 7 blocks, including the game-saving block at the end of regulation. Isaiah Joe drove past him and went for a reverse layup to win, but Walker Kessler put like both arms on either side of the rim, so whatever way that Isaiah Joe went, he was going to get blocked, and he has just been so amazing for this Jazz team. It's wild how they went from Rudy Gobert, one of the best rim protectors we've seen of all time, immediately trading him, now having Walker Kessler, one of the best probably interior bigs and rim protectors in the league already as a rookie. It's just been amazing to watch. He's been so good, and yeah, shout out to him for saving the game. Next, let's go over Cavs versus Nuggets, which was really a duel between Evan Mobley and Nikola Jokic. A lot of duels tonight on the slate. Evan Mobley had 31 points and 9 boards on 12 of 19 shooting. He was amazing, and I think this is kind of a showcase of what he could potentially do down the line. I feel like most people haven't been watching or paying attention to Evan Mobley that much this season, but I still believe he could be one of the biggest and best two-way superstars in the entire league. The potential is just unbelievable when you watch Mobley play, especially when he has games like this. Jared Allen also had a good game with 14 and 13, but the Nuggets end up coming out on top, in particular due to probably the MVP in Nikola Jokic, who had 24 points, 18 rebounds, and 13 dimes, because of course he did. KCP shot perfect for 17 points. They got 25 and 6 from MPJ with 6 threes. Denver is scary. They look absolutely locked in. Their new additions look pretty good in this game, especially with Reggie Jackson hitting a 3/4 court buzzer beater that felt like it had no chance of going in, but of course it did. Yeah, the Nuggets are really scary, so don't forget about them when you talk about the biggest contenders in the league. Then there was Celtics versus Pacers, which also went to overtime like the Thunder Jazz game, and it was really fun. The Pacers are so much more fun when they have Tyrese Halliburton than when they don't. He had a pretty good game with 22 points and 14 dimes. It's, like I said, night and day when he's out there versus when he wasn't with injury. Miles Turner had maybe the best game of his career with 40 points, 10 boards, and 8 threes. He was absolutely unstoppable. Whatever the Celtics tried, it was not enough. He was still knocking down threes and just completely destroying them. I think he shot 13 of 16 in total, but the Celtics do end up coming out on top, led of course by Jason Tatum with 31 points, 12 boards, and 7 dimes, as well as Jaylen Brown, who had 30 points and 11 rebounds, both of them with double-doubles. Maybe the best duo in the league? I would say probably they are. You can argue in the comments below. I mean, other ones include like Luka and Kyrie Irving. You've got now Kevin Durant and Devin Booker in Phoenix. But if I've got to pick one just immediately off of the way that they played off each other, the fact that they've went to a finals together, I'm going with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But let me know who you think the best duo in the league is in the comments below. And also, I want to give a shout to their backup guards, Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon, who both had big games. Malcolm had 24, 5, and 7, while Derek White had 17, 3, and 2, coming off of recently winning Player of the Week in the Eastern Conference. Their depth is unbelievable. There's no team even close to their guard rotation at the moment, and they are rightfully so the favorites to win the title. Final game I want to go in depth into is Lakers versus Warriors, which is huge for LA. They really need every win the rest of the season if they want to make the play-in tournament. They can't afford many L's, and sure, they're playing a Warriors team on the road where they've been terrible without Steph Curry, so this is one they should win, but even still, it's a big win in particular because LeBron James did not have a good game. Even Anthony Davis, who had 12 and 12, didn't have a big performance. Really, it was the other guys that did it. Malik Beasley, 25 points with 7 threes, 13 points from Rui Hachimura, 10 and 13, a double-double from Mo Bamba, 17 points on perfect shooting from Austin Reeves. The New Look Lakers look pretty good. D'Angelo Russell did leave this one with an ankle injury. I believe they said he's day-to-day, so hopefully he's back as soon as possible because he's been looking good so far for LA. But yeah, the New Look Lakers look pretty good. I still don't know whether or not they'll make the playoffs because there's a very thin margin for error, especially if D'Lo deals with an injury for a few games, but things are looking up over there in Los Angeles. To wrap up the rest of the games, the Mavericks blew out the Spurs with Kyrie and Luka combining for 51 points. The Magic beat the Pistons off a game-winning putback from Wendell Carter. The Raptors take down the Pelicans behind 26, 4, and 5 from Siakam, and the Kings blow out the Blazers, who were stuck on their plane for like 24 hours, it felt like, who didn't play most of their starters, and they're led by De'Aaron Fox with 31 points and a triple-double from Domantas Sabonis. With all that being said, I appreciate y'all watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, which if you made it to this point in the video, you probably did, and it means a lot in supporting the channel. Also, make sure to go ahead and comment down below letting me know what you think of the Sixers and James Harden in general. Do you think they can get it done, or do you think that I'm overrating them and I'm just kind of buying into a fantasy? I appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all later. Real one, safe back.